Hello, everyone.
Hello, folks.
Good evening from me. Good morning from John. We were in the same time zone for a couple of weeks. We're not anymore. I'm back in London.
Dynamitri has landed. His travels have completed. He's navigated half of the globe.
Yeah. For now, who knows what's gonna happen in the next few weeks?
That's right.
But for now, I'm here. John is still in Tennessee, I believe. Are you still?
Yep.
You haven't moved around, yeah. Fantastic. We're here. To be honest, it's so great and so fascinating. I kind of lost count. I think we're on day 10 now.
I think
we're on
day 10,
Day 10, of the 14-day challenge. We've covered a lot of ground over the past couple of weeks, across the past couple of weeks. Writing super songs, SaaS, creative models, team models, different things that you are able to watch, rewatch in the group right now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below this video or any other video for that matter.
That's right.
Even if you have questions about a session that happened, 2 weeks ago, our first session, it's available for a rewatch, video on demand, however you want to call it right now. Go there, watch it, and ask questions, and we'll still get notified. It's not like any of the past sessions stop being valid. They are still valid. They are still very useful, and we still look at the questions and comments, and we still answer them. And we will with this session too. So if you're watching now, and you've got any questions, please drop us a comment below the video. If you have any questions later, please do the same. This is a request from myself and from Brittany on my t-shirt as well. So
and when Brittany makes a request, you gotta.
Oh yeah, you're there. Oh yeah, you listen.
Yeah. So 4 days left.
4 days left.
This is day 10, and special welcome to our new members who have signed up in the Circle community.
Yes.
As well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very glad you're here. Getting people really kind of all over North America and Europe, Australia. So welcome aboard. Super glad you're here. What we're talking about here are the essential tools to help you not become a disposable artist. So these are the things that, like Dynamitri said, strengthen, support, and sell the great music you create. Let's talk about the 4 corners of an artist's career. And these are, the details vary, but the principles are always the same. Healthy artists always pay attention to these 4 things we're going to talk about today. Specifics vary, but the principles are always the same. As we work with headliner level artists, legacy artists, through Sony here in town, or regional artists and developing artists, we want to pay attention to these 4 things. These things are like 4 legs of a table, and they give you fortitude, they give you strength, they give you something to build on as you build your career. So this kind of points us in the direction we want to go. This old Stoic said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." So let's kind of just empty our brain and think about this from a beginner's perspective. There's 2 paths here that we want to kind of see ourselves on. One of these 2 paths here, everybody on the stream or watching in your own time zone. You're either an artist that's setting up for a healthy, profitable, long-term career, or secondly, you're an artist who's trying to win the lottery. And as we've seen 100 times, you may win a lottery, but it's usually a curse, and you usually don't know how to handle the money, and you end up a wreck in a year, right? So you can win, we call it the label, lottery, and luck mindset, to where you're just trying to get attention. You're trying to do anything that gets someone to pay attention to you. And it's a dangerous path for an artist to be on. History is riddled with artists who have imploded on the runway and addicted to drugs, whatever the case may be. So we want to build an integrated, healthy, long-term career that creates great music. So let's talk about the four corners here. The first is talent, right? Talent matters. You can't suck and be a success, right? Secondly is training, right? At some point, like Pat Metheny said, talent is what you do with the gift, right? You have to take it somewhere. In the old days, I went to a university in Nashville, Belmont University, and you could spend $300,000 at a university. You know, we're having a fantastic time kind of beating universities at hacking music. Student of ours who's in debt for almost $250,000, never graduated from a university. And, you know, the stuff they were studying was 15 years old to begin with. So, you know, the world moves so fast that, you know, those old models of universities just, you got to ask if it makes sense. So talent's the first one. You have to be great at what you do, right? And then how do you build on that talent? How do you so we're going to deep dive into training. And thirdly is technology. If you're fortunate enough to have talent training, then you want to build a technology layer to what you're doing, your career. And lastly, if you have talent training and technology, then a team comes into place. And it said that, you know, you don't get a record label until you don't need a record label. That's kind of the mantra here, is like, a team comes to you once you build something real, whether it's a manager, booking agent, partners, allies. And there's an actual sequence to this, right?
Yeah, talent, I mean, if I can just add really quick, I feel that with a team, it's really important that you have something tangible, you know, because I find that it's very hard to get people on board if you don't have anything to show. Like, I mean, if somebody can get people behind them based on the idea itself and the vision, hats off, you know. But it's a very good skill to have, but it's a rare skill to have. And I feel it's much easier to get people around you if you actually have something and people can see or can listen or can view the, you know, music video, or they can attend a concert.
It has to be a real thing.
Yeah,
it has to be a real thing. And we see people get this wrong and invert this all the time. But you're exactly right, Dynamitri. I mean, talent, the second layer is training, and then you stack technology on that, and only then does a team make sense. We've seen people spend multiple millions of dollars on just building a team, you know, without, you know, kind of out of order here, right? And they just spend. And it's a guaranteed way to lose a lot of money and to kind of implode your career. So you have to have something to manage. There has to be some there. So when you have talent and you have the training and then some technology involved, okay, then it's something real, right? And this is kind of why hacking music works, because what we do is we align these 4 T's. Like, talent matters, right? Most people can kind of figure that out for themselves to some degree, may not be 100%, but they can kind of figure out, you know, their songs, figure out their show. And then where they fall short is in the training and the technology and team. So that's how we kind of serve and strengthen artists. And what that does, it's kind of like, you know, a natural law. It's like gravity. When those 4 things are working, you know, it's like a propeller on a helicopter. It just gets lift. It gets real. It gets exciting for fans and followers and friends, and then joint venture partners. There's some there, right? There's some muscle on the bone. So these are the four corners of a career: talent, training, technology, and team. And so what I thought we'd do today, Dynamitri, is just have a conversation about these and drill down on these, and see kind of how they strengthen each other and how we get alignment on these 4 things. Let's talk about what are the components of talent? When you think of talent, Dynamitri, what comes to mind?
Ability to write songs, I believe, I don't know actually. Yeah, you would say ability to sing. I mean, I think that
Sure.
that you have to be able to carry the tune in a decent way.
Yeah.
But obviously, you don't have to be like technically flawless because with Melodyne, autotune, even if you go
Yeah.
off scale, if you lose the pitch,
There's
you
fixes.
can still correct. Yeah, there's fixes, but you
Yeah.
have to sort of know your way around. You have to know your way around.
Right. I think you're right. And we think of talent as like, this is the stuff that made you fall in love with music in the first place. It's the stuff that gets you out of bed. It's the writing. It's the connecting with art, with the fans. We think of songs first, songs last. If you pay attention to songs in the correct way, those songs will outlive the artist. So we keep the song bar really high. Shows matter. This is kind of the only non-digitally duplicatable part of an artist's career. It's like the way you enter into a room as an artist, how you stage your experiences and your shows. Like that can't be, you can live stream that, but it's going to pale in comparison to being in the room, right? You can't beat being in the room. Studio, your production, how you think about your artistry, how you put songs together. You want to, make those early records and get those, blow the dust out and kind of figure out how you're you, what makes you different. The special sauce, we talked about this a little bit in the creative differentiation day. But it's how you're different from everyone else and how that benefits the artist. And this is important too. Like you're never going to be done working on your talent, right? This doesn't mean you have to have everything together and be perfect, but it means that you actually need to want to actually win and not just win a singing contest or get lucky or do some silly contest, right? You don't get a career by winning a contest. You win a career by building something real and connecting with an audience and building product and sales. So why shows? Can't we just stream it? And, can't we just live on TikTok? Well, I mean, that's a fair question, right? And Jelly Roll said this recently in an interview. He's talking about a fan base and how people try to fake that and cut corners. And he said a rabid fan base that you really can't fabricate. No amount of social media ploys or marketing schemes can make a real fan base. And I think he's exactly right. I mean, there's obviously social media that can help extend a fan base. But you can't, we think of that as digital second, like analog first and digital second. Digital becomes an extension of what happens in a room. I've heard it said that, when you make a fan face to face, you make them for life. But if you make a fan on digital social media platforms, maybe it's for a few minutes or, it's hard to make a lifelong fan thinking only about social media components. You have to be in the room connecting with an audience and blowing them away on stage. So that's how we think about shows. I know there's a lot of varying opinions on that, and that's okay. Reasonable people can disagree. So this is kind of what we think of as talent, right? It's the fun, sexy stuff that made you fall in love with music, the writing, the being in the studio, and being on stage stuff. And then let's flip over to training. So what do you do if you're talented, right? I mean, we've seen artists kind of get sucked into academia to where they just, spend a lot of money at universities, or maybe they get a master's or God forbid a PhD from Full Sail. It's how you get good is by taking action in the world. And you don't get good by just being smart and collecting degrees. You actually have to go out and do stuff. So that's kind of how we think about it at Hacking Music. It's like hacking music is something you do. It's workshopping all these things and getting them into the world on your behalf. So let's think of training, mindset, business models, doing deals, structuring deals, frameworks, habits. It's the force multipliers that help you 10x your effort, right? You don't want to work hard. You want to work smart and allow somebody's hindsight be your foresight. And this is something that really, I think is important here. Your talent will never let you do better than your mindset will allow. So we've seen it 100 times where you have an artist getting success and their mindset just kind of, is an adolescent, immature mindset, and it just kind of implodes on the runway for them. They keep making the same mistakes over and over, even though they're talented. And it's a shame that that's the case, but very common. They're stuck in talent only, and there's no training, or there's no technology, or there's no team around them. So what we say here is, if we can change one small thing that's guaranteed to change all the big things, it's your mind. It's how you think about your team. It's how you think about your music. It's how you think about your SaaS e-commerce stuff. If we get our mind right, we get all those other things right as well. So we want to get artists' mind in a condition to advance, to be aggressive, to be healthy, to be profitable, and to not be a desperate artist trying to get somebody's attention in a wrong way. So James Clear said this. He says, we do not define our futures, we define our habits, and our habits define our futures. So the idea of, we don't set goals, but we set processes and habits. That's a big part of how we work here with our artists. So that's talent and training. Talented kid. And then on top of that is stacked training. And then thirdly, we have technology. We talked about this earlier. It's getting your back office in order, your email list, your store, maybe print on demand, SaaS tools and automation, fulfillment type stuff. And this I think really hits it on the head. A bad system will beat a good person every time. So you could be super talented, but even having a little bit of a system in place is gonna help that good person win every time. So we've had, over the past 15 years, we've built this for artists. And sometimes artists just offload it all onto us, and we've already built it, so we don't want to reinvent the wheel for them. Sometimes they just kind of bolt onto our back end. And it really allows them to get back to being an artist. Lastly, we have team. There's talent, there's training, there's technology. And two, let me say too, if at any point you're like, hey, this actually makes a ton of sense. This is it's proven in our business and our artists' business, and you would like to explore it more, you can just reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk to you. We have a talent stack audit that we do, to where we go through your business and your career and really kind of think through this in a very tangible way. We don't do sales. We don't do a hard sell, but if it's something that, you're at a place where we can help you, that's what we do every day. So you can feel free to reach out. There should be a link somewhere on this. And lastly is team, right? Dynamitri, what comes to mind when you think of team in this context?
Well, skilled people, people who can help, like decent workflow with the team as well. So, people are not scrambling around.
That's huge. Workflow and communication.
Yeah.
And I didn't even go into workflow and project management. I just, kind of high level. Probably the first team member is the momager. It's that early believer who's, maybe it's a dadager.
Yeah.
But, somebody who's that early person or a believer, loves what you're doing and wants to help, right? And that's great. But eventually, as you grow, as you kind of graduate upwards from a developing artist to a deploying artist to a dominating artist, you realize that there's other team members. There's merch, there's managers, there's booking, there's allies. and board of directors. I mean, we go pretty deep in this in the hacking music community, where we kind of assemble a board of directors around you as an artist. They're not going to be with you every day, but a couple times a year, we want to be able to go to them and kind of have their input on what we're doing with the artist. So it's a big way to kind of build bandwidth and get excitement from people who aren't in it day to day, but maybe twice a year we go to them and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think of this? What have we missed? Who else should we talk to, kind of thing. And people want to see artists win, right? When we're respectful of their time, we're not sucking, we're not asking for, 50 hours from them, but we're asking, we're going to meet them for Starbucks twice a year, kind of thing. People want to help, and they want to open up their address book and connect people. So these are some of the components of a team. Again, it's at the right point. Once you've defined your talent, once you've defined your training, and once you've defined your technology, then that team conversation makes sense. So, and this is a beautiful thought too. If you want to go fast, go it alone. But if you want to go far, you want to go together as a team. So we're big believers in team. We have a whole training section on super teams. I don't know if we're going to have time to go over in the challenge here, but in the hacking music community, we do a workshop on that. That's pretty great. So those are a couple of the four corners of an artist's career that we think about as we work with artists and kind of grow and scale their careers. Talent is important, but it can't stay there. You have to kind of build on that and grow it. And then once you have the training and once you have the technology, then that team conversation makes sense. Yeah, these are kind of the four corners of an artist's career that we work with and work through with our artists. Does that make sense, G?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Four quadrants, 4 T's as well, because it's all talent, training, technology, and team. So very, very important and very helpful for every artist, anyone working in the music industry.
And I see it all the time. It's like people just want to focus on talent, right? That first T is really important. Obviously, we don't want to skip that, but you'll be totally lopsided as an artist if you're stuck in talent alone, and you're just waiting for someone to kind of discover you. It's like it's not a place you want to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I have for us today. And
thank you.
We could talk about it more in the community. There's a pretty great conversation going on in there right now.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, please drop them in the box below or in the community. We'll be back tomorrow with day 11 already.
4 more days.
4 more days. 4 more days. Yeah. Can we share what the topic is for tomorrow? Are we going to keep it as a surprise, John? What
we'll tease it out in the morning. We're thinking about a couple different topics, but it's like we got 4 days left, so there's a lot we can cover, but I really want to keep it on brand for not being a disposable artist. So that's kind of the lens that everything filters down through.
Okay.
Great.
Okay,
Dynamitri, I'm glad you got back to London. You're safe.
Yeah.
And,
I'm safe, but in all honesty, Mexico was much warmer. Honestly, I had like a I'm terrible with Fahrenheit. Let me just quickly convert. I kid you not, about 90-degree Fahrenheit drop between Mexico and London. About 30 degrees Celsius. Yeah. So, that's a quite
I like the sun too, man. I'm a vitamin D junkie. It's like,
yeah.
Get me in the sun or on the beach. And it's like,
yes.
Speaking of which,
that's me.
Fort Walton, Florida, nice. I think is what that is. So
nice.
Speaking of beaches.
Yeah,
awesome.
I can't really wait to get back to Mexico, maybe to Tennessee. I know it's sunny there as well.
Come to Tennessee, brother.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what the future brings?
Yeah.
You know, that's what exciting. You know,
So-
and then this future is exciting. Tomorrow's future is exciting as well.
That's
Surprises abound. Surprises abound.
Yeah. So we'll see. The where is
Sure.
Waldo thing. We'll see where is
Yes.
Dynamitri tomorrow.
Dynamitri
Will he be
tomorrow.
in London? We don't know.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Tune in to find out.
Tune in. All right. Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Thanks,
And you.
Dynamitri. See you tomorrow.
Isn't it strange how the world distorts our shape?